Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we're going to be working on page 177, and this is going to be lesson 5.3, Use Strategies to Multiply. And we've been talking in this whole topic all about these different strategies that we can use. So we want to say at the end of today, I can use different strategies to solve multiplication problems. And today, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. You're going to have a chance to pick which strategy you want to use to solve some of our problems. So let's go ahead and turn to the next page, to page 178, to get started on this lesson. So here we are on page 178. If you're not there, pause the video, get there with me right now. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to read out loud our word problem. Now make sure you've got your pencil with you. I've got my pen so it stands out a little bit more. I want you to underline and circle what I am too. All right. So it says, a scientist on a boat is studying hammerhead sharks. The length of 6 hammerhead sharks lined up nose to tail without gaps is equal to the length of the boat. Well, how long is the boat? So we're going to underline the length of 6 hammerhead sharks. We're going to circle our question, which is how long is the boat? But, I don't know where that other piece of information is. We've got 6 hammerhead sharks, and I want to know how long a boat is because it's the same as that, but I don't know how long those sharks are. Well, let's look around and see if there's anywhere else we can find that information. And when I do, I see drawings, skip counting tools, properties of operations and strategies can help you multiply equal groups. That didn't help me out. An adult hammerhead shark is 5 yards long. Well, there it is. We're going to underline 5 yards long. So we've got 6 hammerheads, and they are 5 yards long, and that will be how long our boat is. So how are we going to solve this problem? Well, we've got to go ahead and write our equation. And so we're going to come down here to box B. And box B over here says one way is to use a bar diagram to find 6 times 5. If we have 6 sharks, toe to fin, all right, that's the same length, and each one is 5 yards long, we're going to take 6 times 5. So that means 6 groups of 5. So here we've got our bar diagrams. We drew 6 of our sharks, and we put a 5 inside of each of those boxes to represent those different sharks. And now that we've done that, now we can just skip count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 6 times 5 equals 30, and the boat is 30 yards long. Well, here's another way that we can look at that. We can also use our arrays and the distributive property. Now, do you remember the distributive property says you can break the problem into smaller parts? All right. So if we have 6 times 5, well, we can break that into 2 times 5 and 4 times 5. Well, 2 times 5 is an easy one. It's 10. 4 times 5 is 20. If I add those together, 10 plus 20 equals 30. The boat is 30 yards long. These are some of the strategies we've covered before as we've worked on our multiplication. All right. So those are some of the ways that we could do that. We'll take a look on page 179 if there's any other ways that we can solve some of these problems. Now, real quick, before we get to page 179, I just want to show you, we also have our multiplication table, which is a tool that we can use for multiplication. And so when we're using this, just like in that last problem, which was 6 times 5, I've got my shaded parts on the outside. And those are going to be our 2 factors that we're going to see where they come together. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and find 6. And then I'm going to come up here and find 5. And so I don't have a way to shade. So I'm going to lay my pen down right here. I'm going to start at 6 and go over and say, where do they touch? Well, they touch right here at 30. That's where my 5 and my 6 come together. So 6 times 5 equals 30. So again, just another resource for you as we work on page 179. So on page 179, we've got our multiplication problems, and this is what we've been practicing over and over again. And so for today, I'm going to actually ask you to work on all 6 of these problems up here. The rest of your page here is going to be multiplication problems. So we're going to go ahead and have you start off pausing your video. Go ahead, try out number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then press play, and I'll go over and you can check your work. So go ahead and do that now. All right, I hope you pause your video, and whichever method or way that you want to go about this is totally fine with me. So whether you want to just know your facts, whether you want to use that multiplication table, whether you want to make an array, whether you're using our distributive method with the array, or whether you are going ahead and drawing a picture, whichever you want to do is totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and just model a couple of different ones. All right. So first up, we've got 6 times 4. Well, I know that 4 can be broken into 2 and 2. All right. And 6 times 2 is 12. And then I've got another 6 times 2, which is another 12. So then I can say, well, what's 12 plus 12? Well, it is 24. All right. Next up over here, I've got 4 times 5. I'm going to go ahead and draw my picture. I've got 4 boxes, and I'm going to put 5 in each one of them. And now I can skip count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so that one is 20. All right. For number 5, I've got 9 times 3. Well, that means that I've got 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, it's okay if you didn't solve them these ways. And in each row, I need 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in there next. All right. And now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, let's cut it into 2 parts. So here I've got 3 times 4, which is 12. 3 times 5, which is 15. And then I can add 12 plus 15. Well, 2 plus 5 is 7. 1 plus 1 is 2. All right. Again, if you haven't solved these problems, I'm going to ask you to pause your video and try these out, especially these next 2, a little bit lower numbers. One of them is the identity property here for number 7. But go ahead, try these out for me real fast if you haven't so far. All right, well, 3 times 2. Well, I can skip count by 2s, and I'm going to do that 3 times. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my box. 2, 4, 6. All right, so 6 times 2 is going to be, 3 times 2 is 6. All right, for number 7, I see I've got the identity property of multiplication, which tells me that anything times 1 is going to be the other number. So here's my 1, and I times it by 4, so 4 is going to be my answer there. My last one is 9 times 8, and I'm still working on my 9's factors, and so I'm going to grab my multiplication page real quick. All right, down here I've got my 9, up here I've got 8, and I'm going to go ahead and see where these 2 meet. And they meet right here, and my answer is 72. 72 would be my answer for that one. All right. Now, don't forget, just because down here when we get into our independent practice, just because we've got some written out horizontally, some are written out on top of each other vertically, and then down here it just says, what is 4 times 6? What is 5 times 8? What is 10 times 1? Those are just different ways to write out to solve those multiplication problems. Well, thanks so much for working with me. I hope you guys are starting to really understand multiplication. You're feeling more and more comfortable doing different ways of finding multiplication problems. Thanks so much for working with me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we will see you next time.